Hello, I'm Ted Baehr, publisher of Movieguide.org.
And I'm Evelyn Carroll, his daughter. And where are we right now?
Right now, we're at the Critics' Choice Award, which is a wonderful event, a star-studded event with some great people coming from movies that are very powerful and interesting. So the Critics' Choice Award starts off the award season, and this will be their moment to feature their choices for the year's award ceremonies. And of course, there'll be many other awards, right, throughout the year?
That's right. We have the Movie Guide Awards coming up February 10th. Check out the Movie Guide reviews of the movies from the Critics' Choice Awards 2016. What an incredible movie about father-son relation and getting beyond that. Now talk about a little bit more about that.
Well, I think when you're talking about these issues, I think it's more about letting go, about finding a way to let go and not have the sins of the father revisit the son. And so, if you're able to do that, you're able to move on and, complete your life in a positive manner. I think the character of Troy has difficulty doing that. My character of Lyons has difficulty. And I try to pass on to his brother Corey that don't go down the same road that we did.
Now, why is that so pertinent for today's day where fathers, have been absent, or why that message of forgiveness is so necessary?
Well, first of all, I think it's always been an issue with family. I think, there are a lot of families in the country and in the world who have absentee fathers, and it doesn't matter your race or culture or whatever. That's always been an issue. So I think in order for us to be able to move forward to love our kids and bring up another generation, we have to be right with ourselves. So we either make amends with our parents, or we have to say, you know what? You weren't there, I have to let you go, but I have to move on so that I can raise the next generation in a positive way.
So bringing Finding Dory, Finding Nemo, Finding Dory back to the big screen, and there was a big kind of period between. How was that?
A long time. Yeah. I know. People forget we were busy doing other things. Yeah. And
13 years, actually. Yeah.
It wasn't really a conspiracy theory to hold it back for that long. We just really didn't think of another idea until about 4 years ago.
Yeah.
So
it's so cute. So 4 years was the process from beginning.
It is for all our pictures, right?
Yeah. It takes a long time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's like raising a child, basically.
It literally is raising a child.
Finding Nemo is one of my favorite movies ever, and I'm a critic, but I also loved Finding Dory, and I thought it was so cute. Talk about the messages for families and kids that they can get out of the movie.
Well, I mean, the thing that we're always trying to do is find the truth of an issue. So I feel like whenever you hit that accurately, it speaks to everybody, and whether it's teaching somebody or whether it's something they're just sensing. And for Dory, it was about finding self-worth.
Tell me about the story when you found it and what motivated you.
Well, telling a great story about true heroism motivated me, but the untold story about how he was investigated was shocking to me, and Sully was so candid with me, sharing his heart of what it was like to doubt himself for the first time in his career, and at the end of his career to have everything at risk. So that's the goal the storytelling is made of. I was a very lucky man.
Arrival is a very well-constructed movie. You did an incredible job of doing something when I was head of the department at Berkeley I told people not to do, flashbacks and all these time changes. So how did you visualize all that? How did you do that?
It was a long process of trial and error. I had to do a lot of research on the page to figure out how it would work. One of the things that I had to deviate from the short story goes back and forth between the two timelines very regularly and kind of little chapterettes. And I discovered that sort of violated a rule that we set in the film, which is she starts to get those moments as she learns the language. And so we had a good span of time in the script that it felt like I was violating a rule if I brought it in early on. And then I had to make sure that almost on a logarithmic scale, the memories became more and more frequent as she went forward.
Are you happy about the reception of Arrival, that people actually got it?
I am thrilled. I really am. It's interesting because I'd been in many a studio meeting when I was told that people out there aren't smart enough to understand something like this.
Right. And that's what I teach.
Yeah. Well, I was pleasantly surprised that people do respond to it very well.
See, I saw this as a story of grief. not a story of time, a story of grief over her daughter.
Well, but also it's one of hope. You know, I hope that. Well, my intent was to leave it optimistic and realize it's the old Tennyson quote of "It's better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all."
I mean, that's a superpower. You know, time is our superpower as editors. That's my T-shirt that I should get printed. And I keep thinking, you know, Shakespeare didn't really use flashbacks. There was nothing like that. And it's a tool in our kit box that we can use all the time. And in this film, it's really part of the structure of the movie. And, you know, the idea of memory sort of attacking almost somebody who's in grief. So I don't know, it was really played to the strength of an editor to play with that kind of structure. I really enjoyed myself.
You did an incredibly good job because I enjoyed the film, and you know, Alfred Hitchcock said movie making is taking short movements and making them long, and long movements and making them short.
It's funny, isn't it? We really stretch time sometimes. Yeah. I mean, when they go into the spaceship, I think, you know, we teased out the exposition so long. And so you just see on the edge of picture sometimes this notion of what the shell would look like, the spaceship looks like. And then you gradually, the next glimpse is that you hear them. And you can tell that they're not really communicating in a question-answer rhythm. So you know that that's an almost insurmountable task. And then you cover this poor girl with you know, poor lady with a hazmat suit and drown her in radio transmission voices, and then you shove her into a dark space going up a tunnel into the movie. I mean, we slow down time a lot. I think that skylift goes on forever. There's no skylift on Earth that goes up that tall. It's a movie skylift.
When were you called in to write the music for that?
Well, we were called in when I met, well, first of all, I met Garth Davis in Australia when I was doing a concert, and that was in November. And then we were sitting already at a spotting session at the beginning of December, watching the movie that was already edited. And we started late December, early January.
Yeah. So it's about a year ago we started it.
Well, I think the two great points of the movie, which makes the movie one of the movies that are, you know, that I voted for here, is the music and the photography. So your music is absolutely spectacular.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You do a
Thank you
great
very
job.
much.
Now, what was your passion in designing the music? Did you have anything in particular that you were trying to get at?
Well, Garth chose us for we're artists that release records and we tour, and I think he chose us for what we do. And like everything in the film, he really wanted to get to the truth of the story, and he wanted the film to feel very real. And so for us, our biggest challenge was to give heart and make it authentic and not ever manipulative, because it's a biopic like this that's so epic in its scope can be, you don't want it to feel manipulative because the story is incredible, and we wanted to honor it. And every step of the way, it was about managing that fine line of are we giving too much emotion? Do we need to pull it back? Let the acting take the front? And it was always being really sensitive to that. And so the film was so good when we got it that we just wanted to arrive to honor it as well.
Well, we have an office in Mumbai. I told you that yesterday, and we've been there for 27 years, and so it had an Indian sound to it. Tell me how you achieved that.
Well, you know, when Garth Davis was asking me, he was asking me specifically for the first half of like the Indian part, because he felt like my way of I'm preparing the piano with a lot of objects. So there's a lot of detuning and like strange percussion happening. Maybe that is the aspect that makes it a little bit more maybe traditional, like more like an Indian type of music. But at the same time, it is very modern and it's very repetitive. It has a lot of elements of, modern electronic music. So at the same time, both music styles have similarities as well. But a lot of times that comes not across. And so I think that was mainly the part how I approached a lot of the scenes. I was trying to be playful as a kid in a way, and figuring out which sound is great to the picture.
The movie ends up on a very positive note. He's actually thinking about what did I give up in life. But what was the message of the rules don't apply to music?
The message of the song to me, specifically when Warren told us he wanted us to write it, he said it's about feeling that life is passing you by. You might be really young, and yet, I'm running out of time. I'm not going to be able to do everything I want to do. But to me, it has a broader meaning too, which is that at any point in your life, you can do the most wonderful thing in your life. You can find great happiness, great creative success. You don't have to go by these unwritten rules that say, well, you have to make it a big stir early, and then that's it.
And the other thing that was nice about it is that it crossed generations. I mean, it spoke as much to Lily's generation as it did to Howard Hughes at the end.
Right.
So.
And I like that about it. I like that they were both pondering what they had given up and what they should have done and could have done and might have done.
Yeah, right.
And on purpose, we wrote it in sort of a traditional style. I mean, it's done like a song of the 40s and the 50s, like in that Great American Songbook style, rather than the birth of rock and roll, which would have been at that time period too. So we kind of caught the tail end of that real emotional, beautiful songs, storytelling, songwriting. So
That's a wrap from the red carpet of the Critics' Choice Awards 2016.
And I don't know about you, but I've enjoyed being here at the Critics' Choice Award to meet the filmmaker and the stars of some of the movies being honored for 2016.